This is Milli Beri TV, where the truth is always in the headline. We'll take you around the world in 5 minutes, so let's get into today's top stories.
Tonight, Europe is facing a crisis that could ground the continent. Not a strike, not the weather, fuel. Aviation leaders are warning Europe may have just 6 weeks of jet fuel left. That's not speculation. It's a direct consequence of escalating geopolitical tensions. And if this spirals, your next flight anywhere could be at risk. The warning comes from global energy authorities, pointing to disruptions in oil supply routes tied to ongoing conflict in the Middle East. This narrow passage handles a massive portion of the world's oil flow. Any instability here sends shockwaves instantly. Airlines across Europe are already adjusting cutting routes, delaying flights, and bracing for higher fuel costs. Jet fuel prices have surged, squeezing airline margins. Some carriers are preparing emergency measures, while others are quietly reducing capacity. Meanwhile, Europe is scrambling for alternatives. Nigeria's Dangote refinery is stepping in, ramping up exports, but analysts say it may not be enough to stabilize supply. This isn't just about flights, it's about global trade, tourism, and economic stability. Energy shocks ripple fast. The IMF is already warning countries to conserve fuel and prepare for prolonged disruption. If this crisis deepens, expect rising ticket prices, reduced travel options, and broader inflation pressures. Bottom line, the skies over Europe may soon get a lot quieter, and this story ties directly into our next headline. Now here's the twist: while the world edges closer to crisis, global markets are doing the opposite, surging. Investors are betting on one thing: that diplomacy will win before disaster strikes. Markets across the US, Europe, and Asia are climbing sharply after weeks of volatility. Major indexes are hitting record levels again, driven by strong corporate earnings and renewed optimism around potential peace talks involving Iran. Japan, South Korea, and China are all seeing gains, China reporting stronger than expected economic growth at 5%. Oil prices remain elevated, but stable enough to calm investor nerves for now. Here's the reality: markets are forward-looking. They're betting this conflict cools down. But if that bet is wrong, if energy disruptions worsen, this rally could reverse fast. So what we're seeing isn't stability, it's fragile optimism. And speaking of global coordination, our next story looks at an unexpected international partnership. 2 cities, 2 continents. One shared ambition: the Olympics. In a rare move, Los Angeles and Brisbane are joining forces years ahead of their games. The cities, hosts of the 2028 and 2032 Olympics, have signed a historic partnership agreement. This isn't symbolic, it's strategic. They collaborate on infrastructure, tourism, technology, and economic planning, avoiding costly mistakes and maximize long-term impact. Olympics are no longer just sporting events, they're economic mega-projects. This partnership could redefine how future host cities prepare. If successful, expect more cross-border cooperation in global events. Now, from Earth to the skies. Look up because something rare is happening above you. A planetary alignment not seen often is now visible across the globe. 4 planets, Mercury, Mars, Saturn, and Neptune, are aligning in what astronomers call a planet parade. This isn't a perfect line, but from Earth, they appear clustered in a striking formation. The best viewing window runs through the next few days just before sunrise. While not scientifically disruptive, events like this capture global attention and remind us of something bigger than geopolitics and markets, a rare moment of perspective. And finally, back to Earth, where the energy crisis continues to ripple. Pope Leo XIV visited the conflict-hit city of Bamenda on Thursday, delivering a powerful message of peace while sharply condemning what he called a handful of tyrants fueling war and exploitation worldwide. Speaking at St. Joseph Cathedral, he praised a rare interfaith peace effort, bringing together Christian, Muslim, and traditional leaders, and warned against using religion to justify violence, calling instead for a decisive shift away from conflict and corruption. His remarks, while focused on Cameroon's long-running separatist crisis, were clearly aimed at broader global conflicts as well. The visit drew massive emotional crowds, with residents celebrating the Pope's presence as a sign of international recognition for a largely overlooked war that has devastated the region for nearly a decade. Separatist fighters had even declared a temporary ceasefire to allow safe passage. By calling Bamenda a city on the hill, the Pope framed it as a symbol of hope and unity, urging the world to follow its example in choosing peace over division.
That is your short and detailed look at the top stories around the globe today. For continuous coverage and breaking updates, keep it right here on Milli Beri TV. Thank you for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss a thing. Have an amazing day.